Hello, my Facebook friends. How are you on Throwback Thursday? As you pop on, say hello. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Tell me how your week's going so far. Give me either a thumbs up or a thumb down if it's not going, or maybe just a so-so in the comments if it's okay and not so great. But I just want to hop on here, Throwback Thursday. I usually like to drop some pictures and stuff because I tell you guys all the time, like, I am always in trying to be like gratitude mode. And so it's been a little rough sometimes. Like I tell you guys that different things happen in our lives. A lot of the yuck out there, right? We constantly got things going on. And one of the reasons why I always talk about like a holistic mindset. Hello, Nancy. Hello. So I, tell you guys that part of the reason, there's so many reasons why I tell you guys, I talk to you about your gut health because it has so much to do with all of us, right? Our gut is our second brain. And it's tied to more than 70 to 80% of our immune system. So, right? So all of our emotions, the weather, the outside, distractions, all that stuff can affect our immune system, right? So for someone like me who's combating naturally, I have to be very careful about what I let in, and I have to kind of preserve my sanity. And sometimes it's a little hard and something happens. Like I was joking with my daughter today because I was booking my tickets to Dallas and I have to go to Utah for an awesome event before I go. And it was just like, I could have like strangled the person through the phone. And when I was so frustrated, I was like, okay, whoosha, because as soon as I get worked up, the lupus rash pops up. You can kind of see where we're still over. When my daughter came to pick my grandbabies up today, she's like, everything okay, Mom? Because it's like, I'm almost like a gauge, like, like the cartoons where they joke and it turns like steaming red and the smoke comes out the top of their head. Like I literally look like that sometimes because when I do get upset about stuff, it instantly shows. If you know what I'm talking about, or anyone has a lupus rash, right? They get worked up and it's just like, boom, there's no hiding. When they joke about, wearing your feelings on your sleeve, I wear my feelings on my face. And we also joke that sometimes because I am a little bit like a work in progress, that sometimes even though I smile, I'm just like looking at you and my face tells you that, yeah, I don't like that. But so today when my daughter came to get the babies, it was funny because she's looking at me like, you okay, Mom? And so I got my stuff all squared away, but I was thinking to myself, because so many of the times, like everything that happens with our immune system, there's so many things tied to it that we don't stop to think about. And so, yeah, when we're riding the roller coaster, or maybe our hormones are out of whack, that's why like sometimes when people have like thyroid issues or PCOS or different kinds of things that affect the hormones, menopause. I know you guys like when I call it that. I get guys calling me, they're like, Heather, there's no such thing as menopause. I'm like, yeah. You tell me so, but we all lose our hormones naturally as we age. So what's the difference? You go through mood swings and have things going on, performance issues, stamina, but I'm not casting stones or pointing anyone out. It's so funny because guys call me, they're like, why do you say that stuff? Don't say that stuff out loud. That's stuff we don't talk about. And I think it's the funniest thing because I talk about pooping, digestion, sex drive, hormones, anxiety, depression. These are things I talk about during the day with people because this is what, everyone's combating something, right? And so it could be situational, it could be related to your job, your relationships. So TMI is kind of a thing that I talk about, and I laugh because I'm like, is it really TMI? Because they talk to me about all kinds of stuff, whether it be just prayer because they're going through a bad time. But the reason why I want to talk to you guys about allergies today is because I'm always trying to preserve my gut and keep it on point. And I laugh because a lot of people also like tag me in taco memes, like, thanks guys, you guys know me so well. Like a taco meme does not make it by without Heather's name on it. And it's funny. And sometimes I have people ask me like, why are you so obsessed with tacos? And so some of you know this who follow me along, but some of you don't know this. But the reason why I'm obsessed with tacos, they're delicious. So I don't know if we can be friends if you don't like tacos. If you like tacos, drop me tacos in the comments because they're delicious. One of my favorite things to put on tacos is actually pineapple, fresh pineapple. And I tell you, when I was in Mexico, it was delicious. But pineapple has bromelain in it, which is proteolytic enzymes and naturally helps fight chronic inflammation feeling, right? But I couldn't eat enough pineapple as much as I try to be able to get the proteolytic enzymes I need to help break down inflammation in my body. But what proteolytic enzymes, yeah, tacos are the best, girl. I knew we liked each other for a reason. But what people don't realize is proteolytic enzymes, which happen to do with your gut health, has a lot more to do than just helping, fight inflammation. If you have food allergies, if you have seasonal allergies, if you have pet allergies, if you've ever gone to like the allergist and had that panel done, do you know what I'm talking about? The one where they put the little drops on you and they like poke it to see what your reaction is. If you have any kind of allergies, drop me allergies in the comments, or if you know somebody that does, right? Because there's all kinds of things. I used to have to carry an EpiPen, not just for seafood, but because I'm literally anaphylactic to pollen. So what would happen was if I was at like my girls' softball games or sports events, if I was outside in pollen, I took in enough pollen just in the inhalation. Of course, people were like, how in the heck did you survive in the Valley of Death? Because Eugene is known as the Valley of Death. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I was in the hospital all the time because I would just inhale, and they'd ask, they're like, did she eat seafood? Because like my face would swell up, my throat would swell. I mean, I had some pretty scary times. I mean, one time I went up to a tree fort with the family to check it out. And I knew like I'd get the skin allergy at first, like where I'd get the hives on the legs, but this was different. Like they were burning at the time. And so they're burning the fields. And so when I went up there, they had, it was burning. Hey guys. Yeah, so I used to carry an EpiPen. So they were burning the fields, and so they had that pollen that was being burned, that was in the air, and I'm going up to the tree fort, and next thing I know, I've got the hives all over my legs, right? And so I'm like, okay, this is no good. But I kind of knew it was going to happen, so I had my rescue inhaler, and I was like, all right, because, I was trying to, like, be there in my kids' lives, and I didn't want to, like, be like, okay, I can't go out, live in a bubble, because that's what it felt like sometimes. If you've ever been sick or felt like in a situation where you feel like you have to be put in a bubble, that's what I felt like. Put bubble in the comments. And so I went up to the tree fort, and by the time I got to the top, it was literally like pouring out of like everywhere. My sinuses, my eyeballs were watering. You couldn't even see my face. I was trying to like catch air because I couldn't get it because it literally felt like a snot factory just pouring down. And I was like trying to hold it back and pretend everything was okay. But I was like physically not feeling well. And I was trying to still put on a happy face in front of the kids. And so as we were going back down the hill, it just kept getting worse. I had hives on top of hives. My face started to get there. By the time I got to the car, I was physically sitting in the car waiting for my ex-husband to say goodbye to his daughter. And I was holding onto my throat because I could feel like it was starting to like close. And I'm like, okay, is this anxiety? Like, why do I feel like this? Yes, right? Bubble life. And so my kids always used to, my sister used to joke me, I'm going to wrap you in bubble wrap because that's where you really need to be. And so I was like holding onto my throat because I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, don't freak out. Because part of when I've been used to dealing with this and all the counseling I went through and everything, because I do have severe depression and anxiety, but when you're dealing with scary chronic illnesses or life or death, anaphylaxis, you got to like calm yourself down because what ends up happening is it can make it worse, obviously, because if you get freaked out, then your immune system's like, okay, what's happening? And it gets over heightened. And so when you're dealing with a chronic illness, that could be even worse, right? So I get to the car, I'm waiting. They start to realize when we're getting ready to leave that this is serious now. And so all I remember is panicking, feeling very scared because I couldn't breathe. And then I remember passing out. And I remember hearing my ex, he was talking on the phone. He's like, she's not going to make it to the ambulance. I can't meet you. I'm taking her straight to the hospital. Just meet us there. And that's all I remember, like fading off in the background. So I went ahead and when I woke up, I kind of was coming to, and I remember him carrying me in, kids crying, him crying, he's like, save her, please, save her. And I can hear the doctors, and I'm coming in and out of consciousness. And they're like, what did she eat? And he's like, she didn't eat anything. It was just the pollen. She was up in the pollen. She started getting hives. She started getting it. She was having trouble breathing, and, she can't breathe. And that's all I remember. And then I woke up, and what felt like just a short time, like I just took a nap. I woke up and I just remember thinking, oh, my chest hurts, my throat hurts. I look around, everybody's puffy-eyed, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? I went into anaphylactic shock based off of just pollen. And I was like, the doctors came in and they're like, are you absolutely sure that you didn't accidentally eat shrimp or seafood or something that could have caused this? And I'm like, no, I felt it coming on. But, I just figured it was my normal allergies and didn't think anything of it. And they said, you went into an anaphylactic reaction based off pollen. We ran your labs. There was nothing else in there. There wasn't seafood, nothing, but we just wanted to make sure because it was so bad that we literally couldn't imagine. So we had to give you epinephrine. We had to give you some, we had to clean out your blood basically is what they were doing. And now you're waking up and it was several hours later. Like I had no clue because of course I was out of it. But I remember them telling me you're going to have to start carrying an EpiPen all the time now. Like that was too dangerous. And they said, you're really lucky that you got as scared as you did. And for once, having a chronic illness paid off, because with my immune system being so overly heightened that when I went to panic because I couldn't breathe and I knew something was happening, my natural body symptoms kicked into overtime. Whereas because I had an overreactive system, an immune system, it started throwing out fighter cells because it was like, something is not right. Like she's, and that's why I joke, because you'll see my lupus rash pop up when I just get excited about stuff that I talk about. But in this case, it actually saved my life because I got so scared that my immune system kicked into overdrive. And so they're like, you were so lucky. And I'm like, I've never heard being told I was lucky that I have an overactive immune system. But I realized that day, it was terrifying and it was horrible having to deal with allergies. I hated it. I have celiacs, I have lactose intolerance. I'm anaphylactic to pollen, which means I can't eat things that grow outside naturally without my face swelling up like it looks like I ate seafood. And so it was no fun. It really just kind of dampened my whole life. And so as I started going to all the doctors, seeing all the departments of the Mayo Clinic, they did all the testing, they took blood tests, they gave me a book of everything I'm allergic to, from histamine response to anaphylaxis, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to start carrying an EpiPen. That's just what it is all the time. So I couldn't eat at food carts. It was horrible. So the reason why I have the taco addiction now is because a lot of people don't realize that why you have allergies or responses is because your gut doesn't have the enzyme necessary to break it down. If you can't break down lactose when you drink dairy, you're going to get sick. If you have celiac, you're not breaking down gluten. And so what ends up happening is people are like, wait a minute, I saw you eating Polar Pizza, which has both gluten and ice cream in it. So how is that you're not freaking out? And it used to be that way. Basically anything I ate, it used to come out one under the other, which I'm not proud about, but I share with you guys because you're my friends and it might help somebody. But it was just horrible. I had indigestion problems. My stomach felt heavy. Everything I ate, I was always scared when we went to go eat places. I was that person. What do you put on your stuff? You sure it's gluten-free? And even when they told me it was gluten-free or seafood-free, I'd always have some kind of reaction because there was some kind of cross-contamination. So it was miserable. Now, I don't even carry my EpiPen, which I would never ever tell you guys not to do that. But because now that I have the enzymes in my gut, that's why you see this crazy addiction. Because I used to eat avocado or celery before and my face would swell right up and I couldn't eat any of it. Now I can't get enough of guacamole, and on tacos and everything. And so I absolutely love it. And so I share it with you guys because a lot of people don't realize. They're like, why is she so crazy about the gut health? I could go on for hours why you need to be concerned about gut health, especially with your immune system, most of it being in your gut and it being your second brain. That is super important, not just for the inflammation it's putting in your body, but that it's when you have allergies to seasonal allergies or pets or anything like that, you'd be surprised how different your life can be if you start supplementing proteolytic enzymes. I tell you guys all the time, if you haven't caught it, proteolytic enzymes literally go through the blood like Pac-Man, gobbling up all kinds of things. They can gobble up pesticides, herbicides, cholesterols, viruses, fibrin, which causes scar tissue. So that's why it's really important when people are healing from a surgery or an injury that proteolytic enzymes can be super beneficial. So not only can they help with all the allergies, but they can help with so many other things as well. And a lot of people are deficient and don't even realize it to begin with. And so when I have people be like, oh, that's cool, I'm healthy. And I'm like, that's cool. But then I see them limping, or something. And I'm like, or they're carrying a bunch of allergy medication around. I'm like, you're kind of not cool, I'm just saying. So I share because I hope that it helps, somebody might watch this and be like, wait a minute, I got allergies, or I've got this, or I've got that. And so it's crazy what can happen when you make sure that your gut has the enzymes that it needs. And so anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. If you got any value from that, drop value in the comments. If you have any food allergies, you can drop what they are for sure. But again, I will never ever tell anyone to stop taking their medications or carrying their EpiPen. I'm just saying that there are ways that if you're not aware of it, do your research, because you'd be surprised what can happen when you actually get your gut health in check. Not only is it the first step to getting weight stabilization, so if you're feeling like you got a little extra chunky monkey on you, I will never ever call it, I don't like calling it fat. My kids know, even when my son calls it, he's like, big chungus. I'm like, you're not calling stuff like that because that's the fad they're calling on, on their different videos and gaming things. I'm like, no. Fluff, extra something you don't want. Maybe you're underweight and you're not holding on to nutrition because food allergies, or you're not absorbing the nutrition that you need because something's not right in your gut. And so it's super important to make sure that you get your gut health in check so that you can be optimal health. So anyways, guys, thank you for sharing. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you guys hopping on. I appreciate the kind words, the love, the support always. And you guys, I hope you guys are having a fabulous Throwback Thursday. And I thought I'd just share that with you because that's something that comes to mind when I think about Throwback Thursday and what my life used to be like, is that it used to be a lot different. It used to look like a lot more like this, where it was like not so nutritious, steroid life, and now what you see when I'm trying to put myself together each day. So anyways, guys, God bless. Have a happy rest of the week, and I'll talk to y'all soon.